Go.
Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the next congressman from this district, Jason Harris.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Roger's always a tough act to follow, and I know that was going to be the case, but these cards, before we really get going, mail them in. They make a difference. When I jumped into this race, actually, let me back up for a second. I want to have a moment of silence. These 13 chairs in front of us, these were purchased, and they brought me on Newsmax and they asked me about that. They kind of botched the interview, and I told them that it was intentional. And they said, "What do you mean? What do you mean it was intentional?" I said, "Well, how could it have not been known that that was going to happen? We're lucky we didn't lose more Americans in that withdrawal." So I'd like to ask for a moment of silence for these 13 fallen young men and women, heroes of our armed services, please. You know, when those caskets were offloaded from that plane and brought home, you saw Joe Biden, the guy that supposedly doesn't know what's going on, checking his watch. He knows exactly what's going on. And he doesn't represent Americans, he resents Americans. He hates America. If you think I'm overstating the matter, guess again. Joe Biden's doing everything in his power to dismantle this country. And he's got people helping him. And Roger's partially right. It is China's problem, as President Trump might say. You know, China is the problem. But you know what the real problem is? We're still using Amazon. We're still using all of these Chinese-run platforms. We're still buying from China. I was going to buy little flag stamps for those flags. I said, no, I'd rather hot glue them to the frames because they're made in China. Stop giving your money to China.
Yeah.
Every single penny that goes to China will probably be turned into a piece of ammunition or artillery that will be fired back at us one day. I don't know where I got it from. I said that one long time ago that we'll see World War III during my lifetime with China. And we're getting closer and closer to that day coming. They're sitting back and saying, you know what, let it happen. Let them fight. Let them get more and more divided every single day, and that's exactly what's happening in this country. They are sowing the seeds of division. They're telling us that we hate one another. But here's the thing. When I go out into the communities, I find out that that is not the truth. I had somebody in the beginning when I started on this endeavor, and they wanted to help manage this campaign, and they said, no, you can't say that to people. You can't go up to black people and ask them if they would not vote for you because you're white and they're black and you're Republican and they're Democrat. You can't say that. I did. I said, hey, would you vote for me because I'm white and I might be a Republican? And you know what they said? We don't care about that.
That's right.
Every one of them. Every one of them. I go out to Belgrade and I go out to Pahokee, which are predominantly black areas, and I say exactly that to them. I spent most of the week out there putting signs up. And it's absolutely not the case. Old, young, rich, poor, it doesn't really matter. They want change. People are ready for change. America's ready for change. We talk a lot about second chances. I've gotten, quite frankly, more than one second chance in my life. All right, I've screwed up quite a few times, but I turned it around. And America's now at the point where it needs a second chance. You know, John Adams once, and I'll paraphrase here, but John Adams has been right, basically, on everything he ever said. He was one of our most brilliant founding fathers, and he said, once liberty's lost, it's lost forever. Now, I hope to God that he's wrong about that, but our liberty is being taken away. We have a First Amendment that says we have the right to peaceably assemble. We have a First Amendment right that says we have the freedom to practice whatever religion we choose. And we can petition our government for a redress of grievances. Now, when we go to do that, what happens? They put a fence around the Capitol. When I go to the school board, you know what happened? I told them that they were teaching our children critical race theory right on time. They are teaching our children critical race theory and getting them to judge one another based upon the color of their skin. You know what they said? Pull your mask. I had my mask below my chin, as defined, as I usually am. And I took it off and I told them that the mask was as useless as the school board was, because they're useless. If you know anything about morality. And I was promptly escorted out by three police officers. And they were trying to push me out the door, and I told them, get your hands off me, I'm leaving. You want to come with me or outside? Or what are we doing here? And they said, we're sorry, Mr. Mariner, we're just doing our job. And I said, well, that's what the Nazis said, too. And they were brought to trial. They were just doing their jobs. How do you feel about Joe Biden?
I don't like him.
So like I had said before, I was hell-bent on getting involved in the future of this country because I've read enough about American history and the founding documents and what's gone into the creation of this country and how our founding fathers, those are amazing. Amazing. Can you please say that? Okay. They're red. Republican red. I knew what went into the founding of this country, and John Adams also once said, you'll never know what it cost my generation to earn your freedom. I hope you'll make a good use of it. Now, this generation has not made a good use of it. Michael Hoff, an author that I read, said, I'll try to get this right, I usually screw it up, but he said, tough times create strong men create good times. Good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And we've got a bunch of weak men that have created hard times. And the times are going to get much, much tougher. When I entered this race, I said, buckle up because it's going to get bumpy. And I don't see it getting better before it gets worse, which is the scary part. People tell me all the time, and now they're starting to stop. They are. But when I entered this race, they said, it's too hard, don't try. And my response to a few of them was, you're lucky our founding fathers weren't here to hear you say that because they would blow you out of your socks. District 20 is D plus 31. And I said 1776 was D plus 301. Okay? They recognized long ago, and this is why I was insistent upon having these flags up here, this nation is built on Judeo-Christian values. And it was once said by Thomas Jefferson, who authored the Declaration of Independence, that it's only good for a moral and God-fearing people.
That's right.
You want to throw him in there?
John Adams,
That was John Adams.
Yeah.
our system.
And there's my little John. What? Hey, Cole, question for you. Why was John Quincy Adams president?
He was ambassador to Paris.
I was asking, please. Cole?
He listened to his father.
That's right, and his dad was president, and his father taught him about politics. Now, this is where we have to start teaching our children the virtues of American history because the school system certainly will not. The school system will not teach our children anything other than to judge one another. You know, I had a long, drawn-out conversation with the people that run my oldest son's school. And you know what they told me? He's the only kid in the entire school that does not have to wear a mask. Why do you think... What? Security, please. Why do you think he's the only kid in that entire school that doesn't have to wear a mask? Take a guess. Yeah, right. Maybe don't mess with him because Daddy's running for Congress. That's the sickest, scariest thing that I've ever heard. Now, as for District 20, District 20 is heavily reliant upon agriculture. It's an agricultural industry. Hey, buddy. Go over to Grandma and Grandpa. Good job, buddy. Thank you. District 20. This is a lot of people don't know this because they spend their time on the coast, but if you travel 20 minutes inland, it's an agricultural hotspot. It's some of the richest soil in America. These farmers like Mr. Roth feed our country. 70% of those apprehended, the illegal immigrants, and that's right, Biden, I said illegal immigrants, because that's exactly what they are. Illegal alien. We're not supposed to say that anymore. It's offensive to people. Well, that's exactly what they are. They come into this country by breaking the law, and when you come into the country on the wrong foot, I think you should get locked up and go home.
Right.
And, so let me finish here. 70% of those apprehended are headed for Florida. That's what they tell them. What about the 300% that are not apprehended by Customs and Border Patrol? What about the fentanyl that's pouring into this country now? We touched on this a little bit. I struggled for a very long time with addiction and I beat it. Fentanyl is killing Americans at an unprecedented rate. A close friend of mine just had a daughter pass away because she thought she was taking Xanax and dropped dead. It was fentanyl. It looked like a Xanax. It was fentanyl. It's killing people left and right, and at the rate, last time I checked, it's going to triple this year. 93,000 Americans last year. If it keeps at this rate, 300,000 Americans this year. Biden is complicit in those deaths. He, like I said, does not care about America. This is intentional. He is killing Americans. It costs $5 million a day not to build that border wall. The people that have come to this country, we have a duty. They've been tricked into coming here. They really have. They want a better life, and you can't blame them for it. I'd want to come here too. But they don't know that what they're walking into will soon be what they're escaping. This is it. This is really it. This is the only place to go. There's nowhere to run from here. This is as good as it gets. So if we don't stand up now and start fighting, and when we say go all in, we mean go all in. That's what I did. I quite literally put everything on the line to do this. I kind of dropped it all, stopped everything that I was doing, and ran for office. This is what our founding fathers did. These men refused to live under tyrannical rule. I refuse to live that way. I know exactly what's coming. You see it on the news every day, the Afghanistan withdrawal. Look at these container ships that are allegedly stuck in the middle of the ocean. They're not stuck. They're being held out there. You know why? So you run out of food. And then when you run out of food, maybe they'll give you some only if you do something for them. It's a lever. I never believed in it for 1 second. From the second this whole thing started, if you read the book Art of War, you would understand very quickly that first you need to divide the population, you need to create a lever of fear, and then you need to control the population and get them to keep on fighting. That's exactly what they're doing. If we don't get our hands around this thing right now, we will lose it forever. This administration is squeezing absolutely everything they can in while they can. And my biggest fear is that they are going to cross the line and do something catastrophic. That's why I'm here. I want to prevent that. Those 2 kids and yours that you have at home, or your grandchildren, I want them to have the life that I had up until a year ago. I don't want you to go to bed at night questioning whether or not they will be free when they're adults. Because at this rate, they will not be. So this is certainly not the time to be despondent. This is not when we start to give up. Most of the problems in this country you can trace back to the border. Americans can't have guns, but the Taliban can.
Our guns.
Our guns, that's right. $85 million worth of our guns. Those guns are coming in through that southern border. Billion? Okay, $85 worth of guns. To me, it doesn't make it. You give them one, it's ridiculous. They're setting us on a crash course for another 9/11. They need to be told exactly what they're doing. Someone asked me one day, where is Congress during all of this? They're bought and paid for. People get to Congress and they start making money and they get famous and they stay there and they don't move. And they make a career out of it. I'm for term limits. You move on. You do some good for this country, you serve, and you get your ass out of there so you don't. We don't need dinosaurs like Nancy Pelosi in Washington. These people are totally out of touch with you and I. They've never worked jobs in their lives. There needs to be equal application of the rule of law. Look at Hunter Biden. You'd never hear from me again if I did a tenth of the things that he's done. He gets away with murder. He turned the crack pipe around, and now he's blowing around colored water and selling it for millions of dollars. If I did that, I would be in federal prison in the blink of an eye. There's a double standard here.
Lindsey Graham.
There's a lot of rhinos out there. I've made a concerted effort to expose the rhinos. I actually said in an REC meeting that if this party could get out of its own way, we would start winning elections. Those rhinos, they're not going to run from me. I'm going to call them out every chance I get.
Yeah.
Because I can see them from a mile away, and you can too.
Nikki Haley.
Those rhinos, they're going to have a hell of a time dealing with me because I'm not going to be very nice about it. I'm going to expose them, I'm going to call them out, and when I get to Washington, just like Roger said, they're going to hear from me. When they tell me we're not going to do things that way, we're going to do things this way, no. I'm going to fulfill my promise. Because I see time and time again, people get elected, and they do the exact opposite of what they said they were going to do, and I'm sick of it. Now, speaking of rhinos, this was touched on by Roger a little bit. I entered this race at the last hour. No one saw me come. I didn't see myself coming, quite frankly. I didn't. I qualified 28 minutes before the deadline, or 22 minutes before the deadline. I went up to Tallahassee, and I did it somehow. And I kept watching that screen, thinking something's going to happen. My past is going to get in the way. And I boxed myself in. And you know what the message to America is? It doesn't matter who you are, or where you've been, or what you've done. You can turn your life around. You can get a second chance. Okay? I attribute a lot of this. Deacon Quinn and Patty sitting over there, they had a lot to do with a lot of things changing in my life. I got baptized earlier in this year. Not that I didn't believe in God before, but I took that extra step so I could bring my children up with faith, because it's important. And this country, make no mistake about it, was built on men of faith. I reference this a lot, and this is what I'll close with. America is not the ground on which you stand. It's those Judeo-Christian values that make the Constitution. It's the Federalist Papers. It's the hard work. It's the blood that went into the soil during those wars. It's that first flag that was flown over the battlefields of the Revolutionary War, which was a white sheet with a pine tree on it, and it said, "An appeal to heaven." Think about it. Everybody thinks it was all hands on deck. It wasn't. It was 3% of colonists that took up arms against the British, the most powerful 3%. They took up arms against the most powerful military the world had ever seen, and they won, and they were farmers with pitchforks. That's because they were men of faith. And women had a lot to do with it too. They supported their men. Okay? We have to support one another in these races. We have to unite now or never. When I was calling out the rhinos, I said something that I didn't realize. I said we either get together now and fight together, or lie down together. Because that's exactly what's going to be. And I refuse to explain to my children when I'm older what it used to be like in America when I was free.
You won't even have the chance.
Over my dead body will that happen. So they're either going to have to kill me or elect me, because I will not stop until I am in Washington. You can count on that. So if everybody could take out their phones, and let's use Facebook against themselves because they don't like me. Mark Zuckerberg, he doesn't like me, he chases me around, and he's got my IP addresses marked, and I filed legal action against them. Let's use it against them. Go to marinerforcongress.com. Share it. Get the word out. Tell people what's going on. Don't be afraid to if you get deplatformed, by the way, you're not going to die. You're going to be okay. I've gotten deplatformed and I didn't die. Okay? Those envelopes that are on your table, throw $5 in there. This is an all hands on deck situation. Support candidates like Carla. Because I don't think Carla's going to stop either. You're not going to stop her, Carla. No. We keep going until we get this back, or it's lost forever. And when it's lost forever, we'll be dead in the ground because we will have fought for it. Remember these 13 in front of me who paid the ultimate sacrifice needlessly because of a reckless and irresponsible administration? If you talk to one person who thinks Joe Biden's doing a good job, remind him of these 13 people. Remind them. Look at these faces down here. Don't forget them. Look at them. Those are young people that were fighting for this country, trying to do the right thing, and they are in the ground now forever because of Joe Biden. Next, we got Kamala Harris and then Speaker Pelosi. Can you imagine what this country will be like? I can't. And it'll be over my dead body that happens. So I will not stop fighting. And I hope you won't either. Have your voices heard. Run for office. Do what it takes. Do everything you can to stop what's going on. God bless you for being here. Thank you for your support, each and every one of you. Thank you for all my speakers coming out to support me. And mark my words, you will see the day come to pass where it's Congressman Jason Mariner. Do it for your kids, do it for your grandchildren, and do it for all those who gave all for this country so it may not be in vain. God bless every one of you. Thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed yourselves.
Great presentation. Thank you, sir.
So one more
hero.
thing.
Tallahassee is a swamp. It's a swamp with assholes.
This is the less exciting part, but it needs to be done. I want to thank my team. Al, Sherry, Jessica, Jordan, where are you? I don't know where y'all are. Raise your hands. I want to thank my family for, I bet you never thought you'd see this happening, huh guys? I know, me neither. It's a little weird. The Keeners, Danielle, everyone who supported me, Linda, all my donors. Where's Joe? Joe took a very big and stupid risk the other day when he said in front of a lot of wealthy and prominent friends of his that he supports Jason Mariner. I don't know, that was a little edgy if you ask me, but...
I do it every day.
No, you don't. That's not true.
You're going to win.
Joe, I appreciate your support. Roger, Rick, you've been a fantastic part of my journey. John, Doc, I can't thank you enough. You're right there with me on this. Let's kill the fentanyl. Let's stop it from coming into this country. It's a bigger issue than people realize. It affects just about every family. David, my attorney, he's been a big help in this campaign in more ways than one. Thank you. Thank you. Ro, you hit the nail on the head. You know, when I got off the phone with you, I said, that's a smart guy right there. Because not a lot of people realize that if we don't take care of this election problem that we have, nothing else matters. There will be no legislation. There will be no good people in office. It'll just be who they choose. Linda, I used to have to break into houses like yours. And there wasn't anything missing, right? I told you I changed. I don't know if I'm forgetting anyone. I hope not. Al is, I called Al one day and I said, Al, you're getting on the team? And he said, no, I really don't have time. I said, yeah, you are. You're a Patriot. You're getting on the team. He says, no, I'm really busy. And I said, Al, you getting on the team? He said, all right. And he's been there. And I've bugged the living heck out of him. I have, right? And he's more than happy to do it because he's a true patriot, Roger. I think we know exactly what it's like. Okay? Now, there's a slight distinction between the two of us. I did something wrong and I took accountability for it and I did my time. But being inside of one of those cells is just the same no matter what's happened in your life. No one's perfect. And when you change, you have an enhanced ability to help one another. So the worse your life has been, the more service you can be to others. Never forget that. And if you think for 1 second that you can't run for office, and I'm directing this comment at certain people in this room, if you think that you can't run for office for some reason, guess again. I don't have any degrees. None. My parents basically purchased my diploma from a military school that I was forced into that I really didn't like. That's now closed because they were not very nice to people there. Eliza, I don't know what you're doing here, but thank you for coming. It's great to see you.
Big fan of Jason's.
All right. So, listen, I really hope I didn't forget anybody. And by the way, the parents that have literally stood by my side, Rob, Ashley, I started a group for parents, and they were there cheering me on because they care about their kids and they saw me get hauled off by the cops. And I told them, look, this is not going to bother me one bit. And I let them know exactly what I told you before, that the Nazis were just doing their jobs. Okay? You can all look up the YouTube video. I was very calm. I just told them what they were doing and that how we were not going to accept it. Beautiful anthem. Absolutely beautiful, Kathy, and welcome to the team. We're glad to have you. So I hope there's no one literally that I'm forgetting. John has done amazing work with me for a very long time. We actually just met today. It's the weirdest thing. I've known this guy for 20 years, and now I know him. So Roger, Rick, Al, my whole team, thank you all. God bless you all for being here. I hope the food was good. You had a good time. And now you're inspired to do something to change the course of this country, because if I can, you can. Write it down. Congressman Jason Mariner will be there one day giving them hell, because this is the government that our founding fathers warned us about. Joe, thank you again.
Mariner for Congress!
Please take care of your servers. Debunking the government-issued checks to be here for you. Please take care of your servers. And thank you. Drive home safely. Patriots, get involved.
out somewhere.
No, it's a pleasure. No, it's great. You raised an amazing son. You raised an amazing son, beautiful family. He's going to win this. Absolutely. I'll be hosting a fundraiser, and I'd like you to be in on it. So, in Miami. So, absolutely. I'm going to have a fundraiser for about 6 of our congressional leaders, and I want Jason to be there as well. Yeah. I'll be reaching out. For sure. It's a pleasure to meet you. God bless. Thank you. No, thank you so much. Beautiful
And Jeffrey Mariner, Epstein's right.
All right.
probably 40 minutes.